A-firm because we lost the localizer, we lost and our minima changed, and so there were a lot of issues involved. So we're trying to sort that out if we can even continue with this approach.
September 11th, 2018, an ordinary day for over 300 passengers on Air India Flight 101, soaring 35,000 feet above the Atlantic. Their destination? New York City. But what began as a routine journey soon spiraled into a white-knuckle ordeal. With weather closing in, a vital navigation system offline, and fuel levels dwindling, this flight was no longer about reaching John F. Kennedy. It was about survival. What really happened aboard this flight? How did the pilots face impossible odds, making life or death decisions in the air? And what lessons can we learn from this near disaster? Buckle up, because the story of Air India 101 isn't just a flight. It's a gripping tale of courage, chaos, and the razor-thin margin between catastrophe and triumph. 11th September 2018. New Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport was alive with its usual flurry of activity. Travelers hurried through crowded terminals, luggage in tow, as flight announcements echoed across the concourse. Among the hundreds of departures that day was Air India Flight 101, a long-haul journey destined for John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York City. The Boeing 777-300ER sat gleaming on the tarmac, a marvel of modern engineering capable of crossing continents with ease. Inside the cockpit, the mood was focused yet calm. The captain, a seasoned aviator with 25 years of experience, reviewed the flight plan meticulously. Known for his composure and precision, he was the kind of pilot passengers would feel at ease knowing was in command. Beside him, the first officer, a rising star with 8 years of flying under his belt, double-checked the instruments. Together they formed a formidable team, blending decades of wisdom with youthful energy. As the boarding call rang out, passengers trickled onto the plane, each carrying their own stories and expectations. Some were seasoned travelers, settling into their routines of headphones and neck pillows. Others were embarking on new adventures, faces alight with excitement as they snapped photos of the cabin and their window views. For many, it was just another flight. For a few, it was the culmination of months of planning, reunions, or dreams of new beginnings. As the doors closed and the aircraft began its pushback, a sense of anticipation filled the cabin. Engines roared to life, propelling the massive plane toward the runway. It was a journey filled with promise, one meant to connect two bustling cities, an ocean apart. But beneath the calm exterior, fate was already setting the stage for a series of challenges that would test everyone on board in ways they could never have imagined. 4 hours into the flight, Air India Flight 101 was gliding smoothly at 35,000 feet above the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean. Inside the cabin, the atmosphere was serene. Passengers were immersed in in-flight entertainment, the soft glow of screens illuminating their faces. Some exchanged hushed conversations, while others surrendered to the rhythmic hum of the engines, drifting into peaceful slumber. Flight attendants moved quietly through the aisles, ensuring passengers' comfort during the long journey. In the cockpit, the crew maintained a vigilant but routine watch over the controls and instruments. The captain and first officer, seasoned professionals, periodically reviewed flight data and weather updates. All seemed well until it wasn't. Without warning, a warning light flickered to life on the control panel, drawing the crew's immediate attention. The Auxiliary Power Unit, APU, a critical backup power source designed to support the aircraft's systems in emergencies, was signaling a potential malfunction. Though not an immediate threat, the failure of the APU was an ominous development, one that hinted at cracks in the reliability of the flight's intricate systems. The captain quickly assessed the situation, noting the error in the system log. His decades of experience told him not to overreact. The primary systems were fully functional and the aircraft remained stable. He decided to monitor the issue rather than escalate it, trusting in the redundancy of the Boeing 777's design. But this seemingly minor hiccup was only the beginning of a sequence of events that would soon turn routine into crisis. As Air India Flight 101 approached North America, the journey began to take a troubling turn. Updated weather reports from John F. Kennedy Airport painted a grim picture: torrential rain, dense fog, reducing visibility to almost nothing, and fierce crosswinds battering the area. These conditions would challenge even the most seasoned pilots. But as the crew prepared to navigate this daunting arrival, a critical instrument failed: the radio altimeter, essential for providing precise altitude readings, especially during low visibility landings. The radio altimeter began showing erratic data. In the cockpit, the mood shifted palpably. The first officer's brow furrowed as he scanned the malfunctioning readings, attempting to make sense of the inconsistencies. The captain, sensing the rising tension, instructed the crew to cross-check the altitude using secondary instruments. While the aircraft remained under control, the mounting technical issues and worsening weather combined to create an unsettling scenario. The stakes were growing higher by the minute.
We have some onboard instruments problem, and because of that we are not able to conduct the RLS for zero flight as you suggested us. And now we are just looking for the alternates, what best we can do. Do we have any sector visibility where we can come from the other side and not use an ILS and continue on the VNAV and come and land into New York?
The radio altimeter's failure wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a severe blow to the flight crew. In normal conditions, this instrument provides essential altitude data, particularly during the final approach. But in low visibility, such as what the pilots were now facing, the altimeter becomes even more critical. It's like the pilot's eyes, guiding the aircraft safely to the ground. Without this crucial instrument, the crew was effectively flying blind, forced to rely on limited, often inconsistent data. As if the radio altimeter's failure wasn't enough, the Instrument Landing System, ILS, also failed just as they neared John F. Kennedy. The ILS, an invisible yet vital tool, directs aircraft to the runway in poor weather, especially in low visibility conditions. It provides precision guidance, allowing pilots to make a safe descent when the ground and runway are hidden by fog, rain, or snow. Without it, the crew was left with few options, facing mounting uncertainty. The storm outside wasn't waiting for anyone. It raged with full force, pelting the plane with heavy rain and fierce winds. With the odds stacked against them, the crew's only hope was their training, experience, and calm under pressure. What seemed like an insurmountable series of failures soon became a true test of resilience, ingenuity, and skill. At this stage of the flight, the crew found themselves grappling with a series of escalating challenges. The aircraft's technical issues, coupled with the deteriorating weather at John F. Kennedy, demanded their full attention. Communication with air traffic control became a lifeline as they weighed every available option. Diverting to a nearby airport seemed like the most logical choice to ensure passenger safety. However, a quick glance at the fuel gauges revealed a sobering reality. They were running low on fuel, leaving little room for error or extended detours. Meanwhile, the turbulence intensified, jolting the passengers from their relative calm. Drinks spilled, overhead bins rattled, and a palpable sense of unease spread through the cabin. Flight attendants did their best to reassure passengers, but even their confident smiles couldn't completely mask the growing tension. In the cockpit, the atmosphere was a test of nerves and resilience. Every second brought new challenges. as the captain and first officer worked tirelessly to navigate the unfolding crisis. Their years of training and deep trust in each other became their most critical assets. The captain maintained a steady voice, issuing clear commands, while the first officer methodically cross-checked instruments and relayed information to air traffic control. Despite the mounting pressure, the crew remained laser-focused. They knew that every decision carried immense weight, not just for the safety of those on board, but for their own lives. Together, they braced for the ultimate test that lay ahead. As the aircraft began its descent toward John F. Kennedy International Airport, the situation grew increasingly dire. Visibility dropped to near zero, with thick clouds and torrential rain engulfing the plane. Wind gusts caused the Boeing 777 to shudder violently, jolting passengers and crew alike. The storm's intensity left the crew with no choice but to prepare for a manual landing, a daunting task even for seasoned pilots, especially under such treacherous conditions. The cockpit was a hive of focus and urgency. The captain gripped the controls tightly, his every movement precise and deliberate. Meanwhile, the first officer worked feverishly, manually calculating altitude, speed, and distance. With the aircraft's radio altimeter compromised, the first officer became the captain's eyes and ears, relaying critical information with unwavering clarity. 500 feet, the first officer called out over the deafening roar of wind and rain. The captain nodded, his gaze fixed on the storm-shrouded horizon. Suddenly, through the chaos, the runway lights emerged, a faint flickering beacon in the darkness. They appeared like distant stars in a night sky, offering a glimmer of hope amidst the relentless storm. The crew felt a momentary surge of relief, but they knew the battle was far from over. Guided by the first officer's precise instructions, the captain carefully aligned the aircraft with the runway. Each adjustment was crucial, every second a delicate dance between control and catastrophe. Together, they braced for what would be the most critical moments of their lives. The captain gripped the controls with white-knuckled determination, aligning the massive aircraft with the runway, as powerful crosswinds threatened to pull it off course. The storm roared around them, rain pelting the windshield with unrelenting force, while turbulence made every movement a battle of skill and instinct. Every muscle in the captain's body was taut, his concentration laser-focused as he fought the forces of nature. The Boeing 777, despite its size and power, felt vulnerable in the face of such extreme weather. His training, experience, and composure were being pushed to their absolute limits as the runway lights grew larger and the ground loomed ever closer. "Steady," the first officer urged, his voice calm but firm. The first officer's unwavering support kept the captain grounded as he provided real-time updates on speed, altitude, and alignment. Each adjustment, each correction was made with precision, guided by years of training and a deep trust in each other. The final seconds felt like an eternity. The aircraft descended slowly, almost as if it were reluctant to land, as the captain's hands moved with expert control. With a jarring thud, the wheels made contact with the rain-soaked runway. The force of the landing was jolting, and the aircraft skidded slightly, hydroplaning momentarily as the rainwater pooled beneath the tires. But the captain's precise corrections, adjusting the throttles, applying the brakes, brought the aircraft back under control. The Boeing 777 barreled down the runway, water spraying in all directions as the crew deployed every braking mechanism available. The roar of the storm was deafening, but inside the cockpit, there was only the sound of intense concentration. The aircraft finally slowed to a halt, its landing gear creaking under the strain of the wet runway. In the cabin, a moment of stunned silence gave way to an eruption of cheers and applause. Passengers hugged one another, some with tears streaming down their faces expressing pure relief and gratitude for the skill and bravery of the crew. Against all odds, they had made it, alive and safe, grounded once more. It was a moment of triumph, an affirmation of human resilience against the raw power of nature. As the aircraft came to a stop, emergency responders were quick to act, their teams rushing to the scene with a well-rehearsed efficiency that belied the tension of the moment. The passengers, shaken but unharmed, were swiftly evacuated from the plane. Some stepped off the aircraft on shaky legs, their faces pale but grateful, while others moved with more certainty, their expressions reflecting a mix of relief and disbelief. Despite the chaos that had unfolded, there was an unspoken sense of camaraderie among them, bound by the shared experience of having narrowly escaped disaster. Inside the cockpit, the crew finally allowed themselves to exhale after hours of relentless concentration. Their bodies ached from the tension, their minds still processing the harrowing events they had just endured. They had navigated multiple failures, fierce storms, and life-threatening conditions, yet they had landed the plane safely. In that moment, they could only reflect on the raw determination and unwavering professionalism that had seen them through. The investigation that followed delved deep into the sequence of events. It was determined that a rare and unprecedented combination of system malfunctions, including the failure of critical instruments and the loss of power to key systems, had placed the flight in peril. Compounding the situation, the weather conditions at John F. Kennedy Airport had worsened, making landing even more difficult. But through it all, the crew's ability to work together, maintain focus, and rely on their training had averted a tragedy. Air India Flight 101 would go down in history as a case study in aviation safety. It became a powerful reminder of the critical importance of pilot training, teamwork, and the resilience of the human spirit in overcoming technological failure. This story isn't just about the failure of machines, it's a powerful testament to the courage, skill, and indomitable spirit of those who operate them. Air India Flight 101 serves as a poignant reminder that technology, no matter how advanced, can fail when least expected. But it is the human element, the pilots, the crew, the ground support, that turns potential disaster into a remarkable triumph. In the midst of critical system malfunctions, the failure of instruments, and the terrifying weather conditions, it was the pilots' experience and their unwavering trust in each other that made all the difference. They were not just flying a plane, they were navigating a life and death situation with calm precision. The decisions they made, the teamwork they displayed, and their resolve in the face of adversity are the qualities that saved the lives of everyone on board. For those on board that night, the ordeal was much more than just a flight. It was an unforgettable experience that would forever change their perception of safety, resilience, and human capability. As the aircraft touched down, with its passengers safe and sound, it became clear that the real victory wasn't just the safe landing. It was the testament to the incredible human willpower and skill that kept everyone alive. In the end, the story of Air India Flight 101 wasn't just one of technological failure. It was a shining example of how, even in the darkest of skies, human ingenuity, training, and courage can shine through. It's a reminder to all of us that, in times of crisis, it is the human spirit that can often defy the odds and emerge victorious.